it's Monday night. That must mean another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk. Hi there, it's Greg Banks on the AirNetwork.net with another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk. If you'd like to get involved, any topic regarding sports tonight, you can call us up. 814-619-4286 is our number. That's 814-619-4286. Joining us tonight, we've got Jeff Speck of Huntington and Jimmy Ty of Johnstown, and we're awaiting our call in from Dave Shannon in Altoona. And I know, Jeff, you were a busy man this weekend with a lot of basketball action, not only down in Hershey, but also Pittsburgh. We'll talk about that coming up tonight. I'm sure you had an exciting weekend, correct?
Oh, hey, never miss it. Never miss that Friday, Saturday down at the Hershey.
All right, and Jimmy, I know you and I talked briefly off the air tonight. Your bracket's not looking all that great either, huh?
No, man. Virginia killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Well, let's start
bad.
at the beginning here. You know,
First, you did delete the show from last week, so you're not going to pull out any predictions, are you?
Well, I could actually go. You know what? I was thinking about going back there and pulling those out.
Let that alone.
Yeah, lo and behold, you know, on I guess when we got into those games, those play-in games, and I see where Chad actually, like, he even played those. You know, most people will ignore those, and they get right to the nitty-gritty in the first round. So anyhow, having said that, I kind of knew that first day things were blown when, what was the school? Oh, UAB. I didn't even know where those guys were from, and they end up winning that first round. What were some of the surprises on your bracket, Jimmy, from day one? I mean, there had to have been a couple of fallen soldiers there.
SMU.
Okay, that was like
UCLA game. Alford shoots the three-pointer that was off target. They called goaltending. UCLA wins 60-59.
Well,
that was the big one. And like you said, the UAB game, that was, But the SMU game, because I had SMU going pretty far. I at least going to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
Because I knew the coach Larry Brown is a good coach and he would coach these guys up. So I went on that.
Yeah, I had Iowa State, by the way, winning that UAB game, hands down. Jeff, any surprises on your first week brackets?
Well, you two covered my big losses, got me out real early. Iowa State, SMU, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah,
and that was the big thing. Of course, the big one that I always bank on, a couple of those number 12 wins. And boy, that just ripped me too.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the bracket now for the Sweet 16. So we may as well jump a little forward now because there were obviously some surprises, some tight games, you know. Now, there was never any fear in your minds, Jimmy or Jeff, that Kentucky was going to be denied by any of these teams. Jimmy, do you think they played well over the weekend, Kentucky?
First half of the game against Cincinnati, they struggled.
Yeah.
But then in the second half of the game, they just took over. That Willie Cauley's time at the dunk, and then the Harrison twins, and just total domination. Domination.
Hey, Jeff.
If Kentucky's going to lose,
yeah,
they will lose either against Wisconsin or Arizona.
Jeff's trying to calm his dog down there, so his dog's not a real fan of our show or something. Hey, but Jeff, are you surprised that Notre Dame has lasted as long as they have thus far?
Oh, most definitely. That was one of the ones I didn't see them hanging around as long as they have, and
I had written them off.
If you re-rank this stuff, why you've got to look at that Thursday night matchup, that Wichita State and Notre Dame.
Oh, that's going to be an incredible game. Yeah, that's going to be incredible. We're going to talk about some of those upcoming games, but I just wanted to cover a couple of things that really came as a shocker to me. Georgia State, Jimmy, was one of those teams that came out of nowhere. I never even heard of these guys, and what a fantastic job they did against Baylor the first time out. And then, of course, they had to face Xavier. And but anyhow, what do you think of that Georgia State team, huh?
Unbelievable. I had Baylor going to the Sweet 16, but the shot, R.J. Hunter made that shot from half court, basically.
Yeah, he did.
He made it from half court. You can have that kid take that shot 10 times.
And make it.
I guarantee he will not make that shot again in 10 times. That was just an unbelievable shot. The coach, which was also his father, fell off the chair.
Right.
That's going to be neat.
Well, I'd seen the highlight of his.
That's going to be in that montage at the end, that one shining moment montage that they
Oh, no
always
doubt.
have.
Yeah,
So that's
no
going
doubt.
to be there. But, Georgia State just shocked everybody. That Georgia State team ruined a lot of people's brackets this year.
Well, the one shining moment thing that we'll see at the end and the conclusion of the national championship on April the 6th will include not only the shot that RJ made, but his dad rolling off of that chair. Jeff, were you surprised by that Georgia State thing? Because I had never even heard of this school. They're sort of like North Florida, you know what I mean?
That was a big one, but I'll tell you, the one that boggles my mind from the weekend is Ohio State coming out in a 2-3 zone. Mm-hmm. So they just get the threes rained in. That one kid made, 5 or 6 or 9 from three-point land, and I'm sitting, what is Ohio State? Do they want out of this thing? That was the one that just blew my mind when I came back and re-racked that one and watched it. That was just unbelievable, that game.
That was unreal. It's Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio. Jimmy Ty in Johnstown. Jeff's back with us tonight, by the way, from Huntington, and he'll be joining us each and every week, on Monday Night Sports Talk from 7 to 8. We're waiting Dave Shannon. I know he has some other engagements tonight as he does the announcing for indoor football with Erie Explosion. And so they also have a Monday Night Sports Talk show, so we'll be waiting him coming up in mere moments. Meanwhile, guys, let's take a look at the upcoming games. In the East we've got, and Jimmy, I got to admit, that Villanova really screwed up my bracket, and I'm surprised by the Villanova-North Carolina State game. But how do you think North Carolina will fare against Louisville in the upcoming game in the East?
I think they match up pretty well. But the one thing about North Carolina State, they were lucky that Louisiana State missed all them free throws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They missed, what, Jeff, like 8 or 9 free throws in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So North Carolina has to count their stars.
Well, it reminds me of
they are even there.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the old Jimmy Valvano days, though, some of the play that I saw with those guys.
Louisville, with the coach, with Rick Pitino coaching that team, I could see Louisville taking North Carolina State just because of Rick Pitino and the experience that he has over the North Carolina coaching staff.
Jeff, the other game will be Oklahoma taking on Michigan State. Some thoughts on that, if you will, because Oklahoma was ranked number 3. Michigan State, I didn't even think these guys would be here this long.
Well, now, and Izzo, I love that guy. I mean, I just have great respect for Izzo, and I'll tell you, Michigan State, I look for them to win that game because maybe it's because I want to see Izzo and Patino meeting up in the East Regional Final. That might be why I'm going with Michigan State.
Yeah, that might be a whale of a game coming up in the East for the Elite Eight, by the way. Moving on in the South now, it's Duke and Utah Utes that Jimmy basically told us last week would make it at least to maybe the Sweet 16, Jimmy. You think Utah's going to go any further after this Duke game now?
No.
Okay.
One word, no. Duke is just too powerful. The only way that Duke can lose this game is if the freshmen get too nervous of that moment in the NCAA. Because if you look at the freshmen they have on that team with Okafor, with Tyus Young, with Grayson Allen, if them freshmen get nervous, then with the Utah experience, then it all depends on how nervous Duke will get it. I don't think a Coach K team will get that nervous in the Sweet 16.
Well, Jeff, I got to admit, I would see no nervousness on the part of the of Duke because these kids are playing. I mean, they played AAU ball. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. These kids have experience, even though they're only freshmen. Let's face it. I think I see in that game maybe perhaps Duke just running away with that. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, that one could be that could be a name your score kind of thing if Duke gets in the rhythm and that other game there in the South. I think this is where. Well, if there's any Cinderella left, and UCLA can't even be considered a Cinderella, I think they come to an end down there also.
Well, let me ask you this about UCLA and Gonzaga in the other game. Now, UCLA came in. Many of us said, "What's UCLA doing in the tournament?" Wasn't Temple deemed even better than UCLA? Well, here they are now. They're going to take on Gonzaga. What's your thoughts on that game, Jeff?
Well, I think that's.
Hello. That sounded like a fart, Jimmy, didn't it?
Yes.
That was him. I don't know if you... Hey, Jeff, you still with us? I think
the UCLA game against Gonzaga. That's a pretty good game. If you look, UCLA right now is a very, very, very hot team.
Right.
Minus squeaking by UCLA.
Yeah.
But Gonzaga was ranked second in the nation most of the year. Gonzaga should win this game and should face Duke in the Elite Eight.
Well, Jeff, are you with us again, Jeff?
I think I'm back. I heard a plink plink. I think I'm back.
Yeah, I heard you going out there.
There we go.
Yeah, I said, Jimmy, it sounded like somebody farted or something.
Hello, Comcast.
Yeah, okay, it happens. Yeah, you know what? And we were talking about that, Chad and I, in your area there. You know, those junior college students jump on about this time, so, it might slow down your speed or something tonight.
It gets a little heavy, but I'm back at the moment.
All right. Well, here again, UCLA and Gonzaga. UCLA, the team we didn't even think should be there. And you know what? Quite frankly, let me ask both of you guys this. Should they be there? SMU, they make this shot. Was that goaltending, Jeff? I don't think that ball was anywhere near that cylinder of that basket. What do you think about that?
That's people were making so much hay over that call or the missed call or wrong call, but I didn't see that as a goaltending. But people have to have something to gripe about. So UCLA being there, and I think I may have said last week, who else would have been in the position that was really going to make any kind of a impact in the tournament? I guess that's what I asked last week and was wondering. So UCLA, hey, give them some credibility. They went out and showed, hey, maybe we did belong here, folks.
Well, obviously they're peaking at the right time. Michigan State, Jimmy, by the way, is peaking at the right time. But I think unless something happens that's unusual, I think their ride to the road to the Elite Eight is over. After this game. I see Gonzaga and Duke playing in the Elite Eight. I don't know what you guys think, but that's my feeling as far as that's concerned.
Well, what I like about this, though, if this was a playoff format, probably some of these teams that got bumped out, if there was a best 2 out of 3, they'd be playing. But, hey, any given night, all you need is one game, and, boy, we saw that in abundance this past weekend.
Or you need some breaks, just like maybe a basket not going anywhere near the hoop. I don't know. Hey, let me ask you this. Going to the West now, out to L.A., Arizona. Boy, I'm just so impressed by Sean Miller's Wildcats, or the Cats there. Arizona, Xavier. What's your thoughts on that, Jimmy? Then we'll go to Jeff and see what he thinks about that upcoming game.
Arizona is a much more powerful team than Xavier. They come out of a better conference.
Yeah.
They have better athletes at Arizona. Mm-hmm. The coaching staff is much better than Xavier.
Right.
Arizona should just pick your score for the Arizona win.
Okay. What do you think, Jeff, on that Cats versus Xavier?
I cannot argue with that. I think that'll be Arizona. I think that's going to be. They were deserving of a number 1 seed, and hey, they're playing like it right now.
And Sean Miller is such he's sort of a tactician, a strategist, if you will. He seriously has a lot of discipline instilled in that game, and especially, that team. So I don't see those guys going off of the track and play. I understand they're going to play their game, and they're pretty solid. So I see Arizona winning that one. How about the other one, Jeff? Wisconsin and North Carolina.
Well, in Arizona, they got something to play. Let's face it, they were 1 possession away last year from being in the Final Four. So they're playing with some revenge motivation there.
Yeah, so they're going to be playing with some fire coming up on. I believe that's on Thursday evening.
Now here's something, Greg.
What's that? Mm-hmm.
Sean Miller played point guard for University of Pittsburgh.
Yes,
right?
he did. Right.
When he got into coaching, guess what his first school we coached? Xavier University.
Was it? Okay. See, I didn't know that. I forgot all about that. I know his brother's coaching Dayton. And
Sean Miller's first school was Xavier University. Well, I shouldn't say first school, but before he went to Arizona, he coached Xavier University.
Well, how old I am, Jimmy? I remember him when he was 4 or 5 years old, bouncing the ball. I think it was on the Johnny Carson show, wasn't it, Jeff? Where he had skills when he was like 4 or 5 years old. They brought him on television. It was either Carson or David Letterman's show. So that's how far back I go with Sean Miller, man, and that's a long time ago. Meanwhile, back to the brackets here in the West coming up this week on Thursday night. Wisconsin, North Carolina. Jeff, what's your thoughts on that? And then Jimmy.
Okay, well, Wisconsin, they got that scare in a close battle with Oregon in the round of 32, but
right.
hey, Wisconsin, they're a contender, and they've got it. As far as I'm concerned, they've got the team that could win it all.
Really?
And,
okay.
Yeah, they're one of my ones that I had in that Final Four, and
right.
I think if anyone's going to pop up, it's Wisconsin's got the best shot at it.
Well, moving on to the Midwest real quick, Wichita State and Notre Dame. I don't know if you guys were aware that Mike Bray's mother, the coach of Notre Dame, actually died yesterday morning prior to that game against Butler, or the night, I guess it was the morning of that game. They went on to win it, and then he told his team, I mean, who do you see winning that game, Jimmy? Wichita State or Notre Dame? Because Wichita State, again, remember, beat Kansas, and Kansas was ranked number 2, Wichita State coming in at number 7. So,
But Kansas chokes every year in the tournament. They do good they do good in their conference, but every year they go to the tournament, they choke. They choke. So that wasn't a surprise for me to see Wichita State move on.
Really?
But Notre Dame, they start the game off fast, and then in the second half they go slow.
Yeah.
And then at the final, 2-3 minutes, they're like, oh, man, we're down by 4 points. We got to put it on the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And they gave it to Jermaine Grant. They gave it to Jackson. They gave it to Pat Connolly. And they just rip up the threes and they win. I see Notre Dame taking on Kentucky in the Elite Eight.
Well, here again, I'm looking at Chad's brackets now. He had Wichita State winning that game and then taking on Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame taking on Kentucky. So, Jeff, you're pretty at this point. You're pretty sure that in that other game, Notre Dame. Well, actually, let's talk about that other game with Notre Dame. It's Butler this time. Who do you see winning that game?
Notre Dame, though, I've got to go with them. I mean, they are a potent offensive team for sure, but it's been the defensive play that's impressing me so far. And the kid had the blocked shot. Yeah, he had that blocked shot to force the overtime, and
right.
If they play that kind of level of defense and put that with their offense, I'll tell you, I got to give it to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame could go far then, as far as we're concerned, at least at this point. Okay, it's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the AirNetwork.net. I'm Greg Banks in the studio. Jimmy Ty, Johnstown. Jeff's back, by the way, in Huntington, joining us tonight. If you'd like to join us, all you have to do is dial us up, 814-619-4286. Again, that number is 814-619-4286. Get in on the conversation as we wrap up our NCAA brackets, at least for this week, heading into the Midwest. And here is a surprise. I don't know, maybe you could tell me. I might be a little, well, here again. I think I'm reading the wrong brackets here because it's Wichita State taking on Notre Dame, West Virginia taking on Kentucky, Jimmy. Who do you like in that one?
Bring your moonshine. That's all I'm going to say, but it's going to be Kentucky.
Okay, thank you.
Bring your moonshine.
Yeah. What do you think, Jeff? I mean, is it any kind of a brainer or what? No brainer?
West Virginia, nice ride. It ends.
Okay, all right. Bobby Huggins, you can pretty much take that to the bank because you were already kind of warned ahead of time that it's all but over. Good night, Irene, as they say. So at this point, it looks like Kentucky over West Virginia. Notre Dame, I'm hearing you guys say over Wichita State. So we're going to see Kentucky and Notre Dame heading out to the Midwest there in the Elite Eight then, huh?
That's the call.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking here now. I want to see, as I go back through my brackets, if my Final Four is even possible. Well, no, because Villanova screwed that up. I'm sorry to say. But I would have had, maybe. Well, let me just check here, double check. Check yours, too, as we look at this thing. Or you know what? We'll talk about that next week because we'll be closer to it. But we'll talk about the Final Four. At least we want to take the steps and at least look at the Final Four after the Elite Eight starting on Thursday. Let me ask you this question real quick, guys. I'm looking at the brackets here for the Elite Eight. I'm looking at some of the start times here. These games are going to get started later at 9:45 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. Thursday and Friday. Jeff and Jimmy, what do you think, Jeff? I mean, is that kind of late or what is that?
Well, when I used to work for a living, that was a concern. But
Yeah.
now it's grab a nap in the afternoon and
Right.
basketball. In fact, on the way home Saturday night, switching around on AM radio, looking for games, and then finally pumped up the tune in on the 4G and picked up some action on the way home. So whatever time it is,
yeah, doesn't matter.
I'll
Okay,
be
and
there.
I'm sort of in the same boat as you. I work my own hours. Jimmy, are you the same? You don't care whether they start at 9:45 or 10:15 or?
Greg, if I had a job,
Yeah.
I would care, honestly.
Yeah.
I would have to get up, but I'm unemployed.
Yeah, I hear you,
So it
man.
doesn't really matter to me, so I'll watch them at 10:45.
Well, I keep saying I'm semi-retired, but I'd like to come out of retirement every once in a while to get a check. You know what I mean? That helps. Hey, it's Monday Night Sports Talk. Jimmy Ty in Johnstown. Jeff Speck, by the way, in Huntington. Greg Banks in the studio. And we've got more sports talk coming up in just a few moments. Stick around. By the way, if you'd like to join us, give us a call. Our number is 814-619-4286. 814-619-4286. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Stick around.
Hey, Frank, some of us are going out for lunch. Want to join?
No thanks. I won't be able to make it for a while. My son's heading to a 4-year university this fall, and I'm watching every penny I can to help him with tuition.
Yeah, that can be so expensive. My daughter decided to go to Pennsylvania Highlands Community College. She'll earn her associate degree in 2 years before transferring to earn her bachelor's. I'll be able to save thousands by her attending Penn Highlands first.
Pennsylvania Highlands, really? My son is stuck on attending a 4-year university right away, far from home.
My daughter was the same until I explained to her that she'd end up with the same degree and far less debt. I don't want to see her starting out her adult life with a lot of debt. Penn Highlands just made the most sense. So enjoy lunch.
Hey, wait for me.
I thought you couldn't afford to eat out.
That was before you mentioned Penn Highlands. How do I find out how to get my son enrolled?
I'll fill you in over lunch, but start by visiting Pennsylvania Highlands online at pennhighlands.edu.
Need printing services done with quality, on time, and at a reasonable price? Then stop by Images Print Shop in downtown Huntington, where they can help you design and print brochures, business forms, business cards, newsletters, flyers, and so much more. Images Print Shop is your hometown print shop and web hosting service dedicated to excellent and quality service at affordable prices. See what Images Print Shop can do for you online at imagesprintshop.com or call us weekdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 643-1796. TheAirNetwork.net is now available to stream audio or video of your next event live to thousands. Having a concert, sporting event, or conference for employees? Stream it live on the Air Network. Find out how your next event can reach an audience globally with our video and audio streaming production packages. Call 814-242-4845. That's 814-242-4845 for rates and more information on how you can broadcast your next event live on the airnetwork.net.
Kick off your appetite with great food from Original Italian Pizza in downtown Huntington, where Bearcat fans huddle up before and after the big game. OIP in downtown Huntington provides your taste buds with appetizers, dinners, pizzas, subs, and so much more. Stop by OIP in downtown Huntington for a sandwich, meal, and cold drinks 7 days a week, or call ahead for takeouts at 643-0665 or 643-0666. OIP in downtown Huntington with the best food and the lowest prices in town.
And it's Monday Night Sports Talk. I'm Greg Banks on the airnetwork.net. You can always check us out Monday nights from 7 to 8 live at www.theairnetwork.net. Or if you have one of those nifty mobile devices like a smartphone, iPad, a tablet. What else have they invented since I got this iPad? Oh, a whole bunch of stuff. Just check us out on TuneIn. All you do is just put in the search The Air, A-I-R, Network. Simple as that. Joining us tonight, Jimmy Ty in Johnstown. Jeff Speck, by the way, in Huntington. And we had hoped that Dave Shannon would join us, but he's going to be busy for a while. He's doing Erie Explosion Football, which is the indoor football league. By the way, guys, I don't know if you're aware, but the Pittsburgh Power, owned by, Lynn Swan was one of the minority owners. The other owner was, I believe it was Matt Shaner. They have now gone out of business. So if you had tickets to watch any of their games out in Pittsburgh at Console, it ain't going to happen this year. Marcus, what's Marcus's name that plays for New Orleans, Jimmy, from down in Harrisburg?
Colston.
Marcus Colston, by the way, was the
Marquise
owner.
Colston.
Yeah, he was the owner of the Harrisburg Stampeders, by the way, in another league down in Harrisburg. He shut their operations down because he is now an owner of the Philadelphia Star. Yeah, with Ron Jaworski. I believe
Yes,
Bon
Philadelphia
Jovi.
Soul.
Yeah, I believe Soul. That's right, the Philadelphia Soul. I believe Bon Jovi pulled his money out because he was trying to buy the Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, he couldn't put together that partnership, and is now owned by Mr. Pagula. So there you go. We're up to date as far as indoor football is concerned. Let's talk about baseball, gentlemen, if we shall. McCutchen, by the way, returning to the Pirates lineup coming up tomorrow. He's expected to take on the Orioles. He's been penciled in as number 3 in the batting order this year, at least for tomorrow. Apparently he had some kind of, I don't know, leg injury, or what was that, Jimmy? Do you understand what he had a problem with there about 2 weeks ago?
Lower body soreness.
That's what they called it, a lower body soreness, although today they say there was ice wrapped around his left knee. Jeff, did you hear anything about that?
Yep, that was the big talk today. It was a pretty heavy ice pack around the knee, and they really kept that one quiet, and so it'll be good to see him come back, hopefully get some work. It appears, from what everyone's saying with the organization, is that he should be ready for opening day, which be a big key to the Pirates.
Yeah, now I've watched a couple of the games here on Root Sports that I've been able to pick up. There are kind of few and far between. But, I've seen some good things. Cervelli blocking the plate, digging out the ball out of the dirt, and throwing down to second and pegging guys out. So what's it look like on opening day, Jimmy or Jeff? You guys can jump in there and tell me a little bit about what the Pirates' future looks like this year.
Well, I think they named the starting battery for the opening game in Laureano and Cervelli. So,
okay.
And that's good. Cervelli, he was one of the 3 Pittsburgh homers today in their 7-6 win. So, nice to see that punch stepping up.
Do you like that matchup then, Jimmy, with Laureano and Cervelli then opening up on opening day then? I mean, as far as you're concerned. And then, of course, number 2 guy on that rotation would have to be, wouldn't be Jeff Locke. Who would it be, Jimmy? We were just talking about him last week. Garrett Cole, maybe?
Garrett Cole will be number 2. Charlie Morton will be 3. Burnett would be 4. And Vance Forley would be 5.
Wow,
and then they'll throw Jeff Locke in the bullpen to be a long reliever. But the Pirates have a good lineup.
Yeah.
If you look at their lineup, you have Alvarez, Walker, Mercer, and Harrison in your infield. You have Marte in left field, McCutch in center field. The big problem is Gregory Polanco.
Now, why is that a problem? Because
he is right now. He's young.
Yeah.
He's struggling. Uh-huh. He came up. When he came up to the majors last year, he was like a house on fire, and then he went, what Jeff, like 1 for 25, and they threw him back down to the minor leagues, and now they're penciling him in as the right fielder. When they have a player who has much more major league experience, than Polanco and Hart.
Who would it be?
Corey Hart.
Okay. All right.
Corey Hart.
Yeah. Is he a guy they picked up along the way?
In free agency.
Okay, so they did pick him up in free agency.
Yeah.
So
So I'd say the Pirates team. And you also put in Kong in there.
Yeah.
The Pirates team, they have a good team on the field. But my issue is Gregory Polanco. Is he going to be able to step up and play over 100 games with consistency?
Yeah. Well, you know what?
That's the question.
I'm sure Hurdle is not going to have any problem pulling somebody if they're not pulling their weight and replacing them with somebody else, like as in the case of the right fielder, as you mentioned. You had mentioned Jung-Ho Kong, who, by the way, I just checked something here. So far, he's batting 130. He's also listed in the starting lineup at second base. I guess we did talk about him before, didn't we, Jeff, that he might be at a third baseman or maybe a second baseman this year?
Yeah, that's second base. I've been hearing that one.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I am wondering, though, I've not seen the guy on the field yet, although they tell me the guy hits with some power, and I guess it's going to be, he's going to have to get acclimated to big league pitching, Jimmy. I guess that's what it's going to have to come down to.
He's so used to the pitching over in Japan or Korea or wherever he came from.
Yeah. And
that pitching's not really as well as the major leagues, because when you pitch in the major leagues, you're the best of the best.
Oh, yeah.
But the other thing I'm going to say about the Pirates is, for the past few years, what held the Pirates together when they had them 1-run leads? the bullpen,
Oh,
the Shark
yeah.
Tank.
Yep, yeah.
The Shark Tank.
Yep, yeah.
Who they have?
Melanson.
They have Melanson, they have Watson, and they have Hughes.
Okay.
And they have John Holtzcomb.
Yeah,
They are the guys that have to hold it down.
yeah, the day that
Rosario comes over from the Phillies, how good is he going to be? And then these other guys, I never even heard of them before.
Well, the day I happened to tune into a game, and I forget who they were playing, and it probably doesn't matter, although they were getting beat badly by, it was the Astros, actually. They had gotten beat, too, by the Astros in consecutive days, and Holtzcomb was on the mound. He seemed to be holding things down real well, sort of like in relief. But, there again, Jeff, remember when we were kids, guys went 9 innings. You had guys who might be short relievers that came in the 9th to clean it up. We've got guys nowadays who are, basically specialists. We bring them in the 4th inning, and then they hold it down to the 6th. And then, you get the short relievers. I don't even know how many guys they have pitching these days.
Well, my question mark for that Pirate rotation, though, is going to be A.J. Burnett, 38 years old?
Yeah, yeah.
How deep is he going to get into these games? Now, today went 4 2/3 innings. He was in the upper 70s on the pitch count.
Oh, really?
So are we going to be able to get him to, can he deliver 100 pitches a game?
Now, I'm hearing that
enough to do that.
I'm hearing his velocity somewhere around 90, maybe 89, 90. Is that going to be something that's going to sustain him? Because obviously if he's throwing 90 during the day, it's a little bit different than throwing 90 at night. Would you agree, Jeff? I mean,
without a doubt. And I think to me now, and might get in trouble with some of his big fans here locally that I know, but
Jenny!
I really think, Jenny, hold up. I just
call us.
Me, that's the question mark, and I think his value is still in the clubhouse, working with some of these other pitchers, getting their head in the right place. And if he can help out here early on, I just don't know how durable it's going to be for the long run.
Well, AJ is certainly going to be a leader in that clubhouse. I think Kutch is going to be one. And, normally the catchers are.
I'm going to go out on a limb here with Polanco, too.
Yeah.
I have him right in. He could be in the MVP hunt.
Really?
If he gets his head on and plays like he is capable of doing, and I think he's going to step up and do it.
Okay. Well, Jimmy, you heard that. Jimmy doesn't see that happening, though, because obviously, Jimmy has seen some or heard some things about Polanco. But I hope you're right, Jeff, because that would make that certainly a sterling outfield in the Major League Baseball.
That would be hands down the best in the league.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So. Anyhow, we're going to look forward to the Pirates opening season. Let me hit you guys with this as we kind of slowly evolve throughout the night here on Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. I'm Greg Banks in the studio, Jimmy Ty in Johnstown, Jeff Speck joining us from Huntington. You can join us. All you have to do is call us 814-619-4286. That's 814-619-4286. Last week, I heard that James Harrison put out a couple of tweets that he was trying to make a decision whether or not he wanted to stay in Pittsburgh or he might just move on with his old defensive coach to Tennessee. Well, now we know that the enforcer is back with Pittsburgh. Jimmy, how do you feel about that 2-year deal? And then Jeff.
I think it's a good deal because he's he could be a leader in that locker room.
Oh, no doubt.
They need outside linebackers. They only have 2 other players they signed that have that experience with the outside linebackers. He signed a 2-year contract worth $2.7 million.
Yeah.
And I think that's key for Pittsburgh because of his work ethic. Mm-hmm. If you watch his workouts, it's always on Facebook.
Yeah.
His work ethic to show these younger players, because Pittsburgh's going to be drafting linebackers.
Right.
This is how you do it. And if he goes to Tennessee, he knows a team that only had 2 wins last year isn't going to win a championship within his lifetime of playing football. He has the better chance in Pittsburgh of winning a championship than he did with Tennessee.
Well, Jeff, does it concern you that now Harrison's 37? He's a former Defensive Player of the Year. He decided to retire, when was it? A couple of years ago. Then they brought him back. Does any of that concern you at all?
Not one bit.
Okay.
I mean, you look at the man, he's a man. And all I can say is, well played, Mr. Harrison. Mm-hmm. He used that, I think it was the Instagram that he sent out that really got thinking. I think it really forced the Steelers' hands.
That made Kevin Colbert pay attention, didn't it?
I think they would have loved to have held out just like they did last year with Kiesel.
Yeah.
I think they'd have liked to wait to see what was in the draft, but boy, you can't let that walk out the door on you. And I say James Harrison, masterful job in forcing the Steelers to maybe do something they didn't want to do this early.
Yeah, but here's the other deal, Jimmy. When you think about it, he's got to compete with Jarvis Jones for the starting right outside linebacker spot, and he'll probably have to also compete with maybe Ryan Shazier and possibly a draft pick. So do you think Harrison's up for that game this year?
I think he's up for the game. I think they'll throw Jarvis on the other side.
Okay.
I think they'll throw Jarvis on left. They'll have Shazier in the middle, and then they'll put Harrison on the right side. Well, I don't think it's a big problem.
Yeah, they certainly need to flood the backfield of the other team, and I think he's probably the cog that they seriously need to make this thing happen, because obviously you want to put pressure on the offense, and he's certainly a guy. As I look over some of these names, some of these young dudes, this year he persuaded some of the team's young linebackers, Jones, Shazier, there's Sean Spence and Vince Williams, to work out with him. So, those guys are getting a hell of a workout. You know what I mean? Because he does have the work ethic. There is no question about that. On to another subject regarding the Steelers, Jeff, real quick. One of their needs, obviously, cornerback. That'll have to wait until the draft this year. And obviously, I don't know who's out there, who might be, but here again, they may end up releasing Polamalu with a post-June 1 designation. That now would save the Steelers $6 million. They really didn't have anything as far as a free agency plan, so do you think now they feel a little bit more comfortable in making a decision when the draft comes?
Well, I think that's the big thing that Harrison's signing did today, is probably open the door a little bit wider for the exit of our man that we. Boy, that's going to be hard to see that one
happen.
Walk out the door. But I think that signing of Harrison just probably.
You think that sealed the deal?
I think so, and probably money wise too. That just gave a little bit of a more solid base there for the Steelers to work with. Because remember, hey, Worlds, he walked out, he retired, hung him up. So Steelers have to do something to that outside linebacker, and I think that's. That was answered there today, and I unfortunately, Polamalu, I think we might have seen him the last time in the Steelers uniform.
Well, funny that you mentioned even Worlds, because I'm reading over an article today in the Tribune out of Pittsburgh, the Greensburg, I guess, the Times, Jimmy, and they mentioned Colbert says he really didn't have Jason Worlds in his plans this year. I mean, what's that all about? Is that like closing the barn door after the cattle have moved out? I mean, it sounds to me like there's some kind of like spoiled eggs there. I mean, what do you think as far as the Steelers are concerned in this situation with Jason Worlds just resigning?
I think the reason he retired is he wasn't getting looked at by other teams, because look at what his stats were in his years in Pittsburgh. They weren't really that good.
Yeah.
He wanted a starting position. He knew he wasn't going to get a starting position in Pittsburgh. He knew that he was never going to come back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I can see Pittsburgh's point of view.
Yeah, Pittsburgh basically said Worlds never really was in their plans.
No, so. I can see their point of view, because he hardly ever played.
Yeah, well, that's true, too.
He played, but he hardly ever played.
Yeah.
They sort of forced him out.
Okay. Well, here again, Steelers get to pick number 22 overall, 22nd in the draft this year. So I hope there is some defensive help out there, because, again, I don't think Ike's going to make it. I think he's going to be shown the door at some given time soon, and we really, truly believe that Troy's got to make a decision or not. There again, maybe Troy will end up with Tennessee because he loves Dick LeBeau just as much as James did. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that all works out for the best or not the best. This Monday Night Sports Talk, I'm Greg Banks in the studio, Jeff Specky in Huntington, Jimmy Ty hanging out in Johnstown, and you can hang out with us. Give us a call, if you will. 814-619-4286 is our number. Again, that's 814-619-4286. Have you guys passed out our number to any of your friends yet?
Yeah.
Or don't you dare do that. What's that?
I've posted a couple times those numbers. Come on.
Okay.
We're not even asking for money.
Exactly, man. When I was asking for money, I was dying the other night. You notice that, Jeff? I was asking for money for the telethon, and it's like Jeff was the only one that called me up, man. So thanks for your help, by the way. Hey, anyhow, Monday Night Sports Talk. Let's get out of here, get a spot, and then, of course, what we'll do, we'll talk like some hockey and some good news for a Penn Stater, by the way. Not only on the ice, but a dude that was on the mats over the weekend. And what about Monet Davis, that little girl from Philadelphia? What's going on with these people in the world these days? Tweeting out anything that comes to mind. All right, well, we'll talk about that. 814-619-4286 is our number. Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. If you're searching for a used vehicle, or perhaps a used boat for a leisurely trip on the lake, find them today online at penswoods.net. From things for sale or things to buy, the free classifieds at penswoods.net have it all. From houses for sale, apartments for rent, or even things to trade, penswoods.net is the region's largest site for free classifieds. Check it out today and make money or save money at penswoods.net. Restore the luster of your home or business now by calling Ted's Painting and Drywall at 814-641-0479. Ted's Painting and Drywall does quality exterior and interior painting, staining, faux finishing, trim work, and wall repair. Plus, Ted's Painting and Drywall can remove wallpaper and finish drywall for one room or the whole house. Ted's Painting and Drywall, a licensed contractor offering a 20% discount to seniors and 35% discount to churches. Book your work now at Ted's Painting and Drywall. Call 641-0479.
The Burns Law Firm is an experienced law firm located at 104 South Center Street in Evansburg, just steps away from the Cambria County Courthouse. Attorney Tim Burns and his staff will provide you with professional expertise in DUI, family law, personal injury claims, plus other areas of law at reasonable rates and fees. Contact Attorney Tim Burns for a consultation by calling 814-471-1701 or online at www.attytimburns.com for more information.
Top Steiner, 4 miles east of Huntingdon on Route 22, is keeping it fresh daily with great food at a great value for family and friends in a fun atmosphere. From their fresh-cut French fries, home-baked pies, and their home-style cooking, Top Steiner is the #1 destination for many hungry appetites. Stop by Top Steiner for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and great service 7 days a week. Top Steiner, east of Huntingdon on Route 22 for excellent service and delicious home cooking at a great value every day.
I'm coming home. What does sacrifice mean to you? Is it giving up your time and energy to keep America safe? Is it putting yourself in harm's way to protect our nation's way of life? No? Then maybe it's giving up that third latte to take care of the heroes that do.
The VFW makes it easy to help. Just call 1-855-9-HELP-VET. That's 855-9-HELP-VET.
The VFW. No one does more for veterans.
This message brought to you by the Huntingdon VFW Post 1754 on Penn Street. It's Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air every Monday night from 7 to 8 live. Of course, rebroadcast at 10 p.m. this evening. And then, of course, throughout the week at 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. on the airnetwork.net. Joining me live via Skype tonight, Jeffrey Speck in Huntingdon and Jimmy Ty in Johnstown. Unfortunately, we couldn't reach out to our good friend Dave Shannon, who must be busy doing some Erie Explosion football stuff on the air somewhere tonight. So, Dave, best to you. But now we're getting into the meat of things that Dave loves to talk about, like, or let's say, like Penguins hockey. He's a big Penguins fan. And, you know, Penguins recently, Jeff, have been struggling at best, obviously. They just won one game after, I think, losing 5. But some good news I heard yesterday that Malkin and Hornquist skated for the first time in, maybe a few days. So I don't know what that all means, except the fact that Malkin, who suffered a lower body injury 85 seconds into a 2-0 loss to the Bruins on March 14th, might be coming back. And then, of course, Hornquist was hurt later that week, actually the next day in a game where they lost 5-1. Do you think the Penguins are finally turning this thing around, Jeff, as we head towards the end of the season?
Well, with the Penguins, let's face it, no matter what happens in the regular season, you make a run toward the Stanley Cup and start showing up in the playoffs, all will be forgotten.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I like though after that win. Now today is a mandatory day off in the NHL.
Okay.
No action. Everyone's got the day off.
Yeah.
I like what Johnson did last night when they got off the plane. He went straight into a Sunday night practice to meet the beat the deadline that he would. They've got Monday off, but he put them to work last night. I like that, and I think the whole problem is, hey, these guys they don't listen to Johnson. That no respect. Yeah, people want to come down on him, but at some point, I expect professionals to step up and
you're getting
be
paid.
man and do the game.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And they said that Sunday's practice was definitely at an odd time, Jimmy, but Johnson explained the reasoning. He said players must have 4 days off a month, free from meetings, practices, etc. Money is one of those mandatory days, but he needed to get these guys and get their heads together because they blew a 4-goal lead against the Oilers last week. You think they're turning things around now and they're going to be healthy and rested where they can come and maybe just start winning some games?
They have to come together with Hornqvist, Malkin, Crosby, Letang, and Kunins.
Yeah.
That is the key of their team. If Kunins has to play smarter hockey, he's been in that penalty box way too much.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Kunins has to play smart hockey for them to win. Because the other teams are going to be double-teaming Crosby, double-teaming Malkin. It's up to Kunins and Hornqvist to get the job done. For them guys to jail on that line.
These guys seem to be getting a lot of penalty minutes in these games, man. I mean, that's just so unusual and unique for the Penguins this season. Don't you think, Jeff? Because, man, I have not seen these guys take so much time off the ice as I've seen this year.
No, that's where the people have to step up. The leaders have to step up and be leaders on and off the ice at this point. And, I think that was I saw in one of the Sports Center interviews, Johnson, just a brief comment that he wanted to work on some skill things, but there were one or two team things that needed addressed in that Sunday night session. And I'm sure that's one of those things where some people have to stand up and start taking responsibility and just not have the title of captain and step up and do it.
Well, each week Dave rags on this guy from the outset. As soon as we start talking Penguins, I start talking about Johnston. I remember a couple of years ago they had a coach. I don't know if it was Bosma or who it was. He took these guys through a boot camp, Jimmy. You think that's what they need to change their attitude, to get them involved in playing as a team and stop bickering, not necessarily among themselves, but sort of like against the coach?
The way it was Dan Spelsman who took them to the boot camp last year.
Yeah.
And the funny story is Malkin had no idea who Johnson was on the first day. Yeah. He thought it was just a regular person working for the Penguins. Had no idea it was his head coach.
Really?
So there's no respect for the coach.
Oh, yeah.
These players got to respect the coach.
Well,
even though he coached in junior league hockey, basically the Johnstown Tomahawks.
Like Dave talks about every week.
They have to respect the coach, and I think that Johnson's losing this team. Slowly and surely he's losing this team, and Rutherford has to do something, even though Rutherford and Johnson are friends.
Yeah.
He has to do something at the end of the year because there's no way the Pens are going to win that Stanley Cup if Johnson's going to be the coach.
So the change has to come at the top, though, Jeff, is
Yes.
I guess as Dave stated clearly over the last few months, that there is a problem in Denmark, man, and it's starting to stink to high heavens.
Oh, yeah.
So you think there's going to be an ultimate change at the head at the end of the season?
I think Jimmy hit it right on. I mean, it's got to come at the end of the season because these guys are showing that they're not going to play. But that's where my
they're not
going
to play for him. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where my problem goes though to the players. That man, and especially if you are a captain, it's time to step up and be a captain.
But I've seen that happen in the NBA where guys don't want to play for the coaches. There was a team here a few weeks ago that declared, they were chanting 6 more weeks or something, and that's not respectful of the coach. And I've seen it happen in hockey again because the Islanders just a couple of years ago had this same situation happen. So you've got to kind of cut the head of the snake off to kill it. And I guess in this situation, it doesn't look good for the Penguins. Here's something that doesn't look good either. I just got information that Johnson said in the Room video. He tweeted out today that Pascal Dupuis won't play for them this season. He's not coming back. No ifs, ands, or buts because of that blood clot. He has been seen skating by himself, albeit. But at this point, nobody has talked to Dupuis. He's declined all kinds of interviews per the team's policy on injured players, speaking to the media. He did deliver that first-person account of his blood clot for us all back on February 27th. That's pretty much all we've heard since then. Did you feel that he was going to come back at all this year, Jimmy, and then Jeff?
No, I don't think he would have came back. The blood clot, that's a very dangerous injury. It's what's going on with Dupuis is very dangerous. And, he has a family he has to look out for.
This is his life.
This is his life.
Yeah.
Hockey's not life. Hockey's just something you just play to have fun, and you get paid.
Yeah.
So I really didn't think that Pascal would come back, that he would have just take the time off, get his body healthy, and then maybe come back next year. Even if he doesn't come back next year,
right?
Maybe come back as a coach, like an assistant coach, like what Rick Talkin's doing right now for the Pens.
Okay, so Jeff, what's your feelings on that whole scenario?
Yeah. We're just talking life and death there, and that's way too serious to be worrying about that.
Yeah.
One thing I haven't heard, maybe one of you guys have heard. They might have to look for a defenseman to step up here also, because Christian Ehrhoff did not play Saturday, and I don't think he skated last night. And,
okay.
They were looking for some kind of an indication on what may be up with him, but I haven't seen anything on that one today either. So
nothing's been disclosed about his injury if he has one. Okay.
Don't see what the problem is there, but no word out of Pittsburgh yet on that situation.
Hey, well, keeping it in the hockey world, I feel really great that Penn State hockey is now doing well in the Big Ten. Matter of fact, I understand their coach, Guy Godowski, named the Big Ten Coach of the Year. And then yesterday we find out that Casey Bailey, their top scorer for Penn State hockey, signs with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I want to get your thoughts on that. First of all, you think he was going to talk to the Pagulas, since they were probably closer to him than anybody? And are you surprised that he went to Toronto, Jeff? And what's your thoughts on Penn State hockey?
Well, the Penn State hockey, I mean, boy, what an impact right out of the gates. I mean, playing pretty much at the club level, and now stepping into the Big Ten, and doing a whale of a job. And I know some people from Huntington even traveled out to Detroit over the weekend.
Really?
Yep. I mean, so they have built a very solid and loyal base early on, and boy, hats off, kudos to Penn State, because first of all, what a facility there with the Pacula. If you haven't been in that thing, I haven't been in to see hockey.
Yeah.
But I walked in just to nose around. What a great facility, and boy, what a program that Penn State has pretty much sprung up and having an impact. And congratulations. I'm sure Penn State would like to see the kids stick around for his senior year, but so it goes in college sports.
Hey, Jimmy, so he forgoes his senior year next year in Hockey Valley, signing with the Maple Leafs. And isn't that what the Tomahawks basically are trying to develop these kids, to get them into a half-decent D1 college and then move on into the pros?
Basically, yeah, that's basically what the Johnson Tomahawks are. They have 18, 17. I know there's a kid right now who's playing for the Tomahawks. Can't think of his name.
Uh-huh.
He's going to Richland High School.
Right, because they go to school.
He's from Illinois. He plays for the Tomahawks, and he's going to Richland High School to finish out his high school years.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what the Tomahawks are. It's a good time down there at them games. And they try to. The goalie last year went to the Air Force Academy.
Yeah.
Hockey for the Air Force Academy. So
that's the goal of the Johnstown Tomahawks,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that Casey Bailey came out of a similar league, like maybe some elite league in Canada or wherever it might have been. But you do have and he's from Anchorage, so you have these little teams that are or leagues that are springing up that develop these hockey players. They get with these good schools like Penn State, as Jeff said. It was a club hockey school, 2 years ago, Jeff? And then they got that arena built, and they went into D1, and look what they've done in 2 years. I mean, it's an incredible story to have Casey Bailey signing on with an NHL team who, by the way, I understand they may put him on the ice this season yet. You know what I mean? So that'll be interesting. So we'll see how that works out for them. The best of luck to Casey Bailey as he moves on. What's that?
Casey Bailey's last team was the Omaha Lancers of the USHL.
Ah, okay, and that's a rather esteemed hockey league up there in the western United States, of course, and, of course, Canada. So that's not a bad league to be in. Now, let me ask you about this, keeping with Penn State, Jeff. You heard about it because I know you were on the road all weekend, and I'm watching this match on television as it unfolds on ESPN on Saturday night. Penn State's Matt Brown added yet another wrestling national title to Penn State's growing list of accomplishments. He won that match 5-4, which had gone into overtime, wrestling against Pittsburgh's Tyler Wilps in the NCAA Finals. That's the first time a Penn Stater and a Pitt Panther have ever met. Wasn't that an incredible feat by Matt Brown?
Well, that's another one had to watch after the fact on a little replay action. But, as you say, though, what a way to produce a thrilling in there. And Brown just working. Now, I'm not a wrestling fan, but, boy, really working on his feet to take control of that at the end. Boy, what a tussle and what a match. And
that match actually was tied up,
But, man, against my Pitt, come on. It's been a rough winter, brother.
Well, it's been a rough winter for you and Jimmy because Jimmy's a Pitt alum, and, they got killed. Well, Jimmy, I shouldn't say this because the women are still playing basketball. You know what I mean?
Right now, I think.
Yeah, they're playing right now against University of Tennessee.
Okay, so I'm wishing them.
In Tennessee, in Knoxville.
And that game's on tonight then?
Yes, and it doesn't going to look pretty for the Pitt women. Wow, they have to play against Tennessee that is just...
But you know what? Susan McConnell, and she has reclaimed that program. She has basically brought that program to prominence in the couple of years she's been there. She was a big get for Pitt because, she's a Pittsburgh girl from that area. She did well. I remember her in high school, and then she went on to college, and, of course, she coached before in the NCAAs. So this is something that, you Pitt fans have to look forward to. You probably will forego your football season, and you'll go right on to women's basketball.
Definitely.
Hey, I've always told people, and I'm sure Greg's probably heard this, my theory is that at Penn State, basketball is the bridge to spring workouts for football. At Pitt, football's the bridge to get us to basketball. Boy, this year, yuck.
Yeah. And let me tell you something about when I moved to Johnstown 30 years ago, and I was very surprised because I had just come from State College where I had worked for a couple of years, and, everything was blue and white there. And so I moved to Johnstown, and I'm thinking, well, these people are pretty much aligned with Pitt. There's probably going to be Pitt stuff all over the place. There was one store in downtown Johnstown that sold Pitt items, and it was right beside Penn State items. And guess what? This store was actually owned by Mimi Coppersmith, who is a Penn State alum, and it was a part of bearish advertising. That's the only reason, and that was the only place you could actually buy Pitt gear in Johnstown. But I knew there had to be at least a couple of Pitt alums, in the Johnstown region. So I hate to say it, Jimmy, or maybe even Jeff, but at this point, Penn State is live and well and doing and kicking in basically every category. Let's talk a little bit about your road trip real quick, Jeffrey, to the PIAA basketball finals. I see where Blackhawk girls beat Archbishop Woods to defend their PIAA hoops title. Anything surprise you down there at the PIAAs in Hershey this year?
Hey, first of all, they have trouble with the PIAA right now.
Yeah.
It's when you're up in an auditorium like the Giant Center and you've got not quite half a house to watch your Quad A boys game, and it proved one thing, and my brother touched on it on the ride home Saturday night. In Philadelphia, in District 12, what they want is that Philadelphia title. The PIAA title doesn't mean that much, and it showed that there was no one there for that boys Quad A game.
Yeah.
And that place you could have walked in and picked your seat. And
it looked bad on television, by the way, too. It really did.
I mean, it's showing, and for the public schools, and I harp on this year in, year out, it's hard to compete against schools that can pull in the charter schools, the parochial schools.
Yeah.
It is hard for someone who's bound by their little areas to compete, and we've seen it coming for years and years, and it's here. And now with the advent of the Philadelphia League teams getting in it, there's no one there. I mean, for that Quad A game, I mean, if the one school had if they had 50 or 75 people there, I may be exaggerating.
Well, you know what surprised me about the whole telecast between you, me, and Jimmy is this year, Imhotep never made it. I didn't see them there at all. They must have got beaten in the Philadelphia League this year because they've been there consistently for 6 or 7 years in a row. And I'm seeing names of schools I've never seen before, in that tournament.
Yeah. This Conwell weekend that took down Aliquippa in the boys' AA championship game. I don't know where they came from, but boy, what a machine! They had their way pretty much with Aliquippa, and that's taken some. Then you have Roman Catholic in the Quad A game, and you just go down and down the list. Now I'm going to keep going because there's that possibility of seeing some great athletes and seeing those people that are going to make an impact. And the one girl, the Amagroso girl, she had committed to Pitt, and now she's going to Duquesne. I'll tell you, she is a difference maker.
Well, let me ask you this real quick as we wrap things up here on Monday Night Sports Talk. How does the PIAA, because we talked about this 20 years ago with these Catholic schools and public schools, how do they rectify this problem now with the charter schools involved in this thing?
I don't think PIAA is going to do it till an AD. The ADs at the public schools step up and say, enough's enough.
Yeah.
If they step out and I say, hey, form your own league. Get rid of the PIAA. Let the public schools form their own league. Get you what? Those dollars will talk, and something will be worked out real quick.
And the venues, by the way, Jimmy, probably won't look like they're barren when we have these championship games any longer because people were, at least District 6, they travel well, Jeff. You know what I mean?
Yep, without a doubt.
Yeah, if we get any of our kids in there, I'm telling you, people from Huntington, from State College, Johnstown, Altoona.
I guarantee you Portage would have been empty.
Yeah, that's a sad thing.
The whole town of Portage would have been gone.
Yeah, well, it'd have been like Windward, Jimmy, when we do football games out there. They'd just pretty much shut the town down. They turn out the lights and lock the doors and head over to the Speedway.
Windward would be a dead zone.
Yeah, it would be.
A ghost town on a Friday Night Football.
Oh, I imagine. Hey, anyhow, guys, thank you again, Jeff Speck in Huntington, and Jimmy Ty in Johnstown. Thanks for joining us on Monday Night Sports Talk. Let's do it again next week, guys.
No problem.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right, have a good one. That wraps up another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk here on the AirNetwork.net. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you back here next Monday night from 7 to 8.